these guys, by the time it gets to you, imagine how many freaking people have reviewed this deal and said it's not for me.
Yeah.
So now you're seeing it from this fresh perspective and trying to be optimistic about it, right? And then trying to sell it to your people. But the point is that it's been already reviewed by probably a number of people, at least a half a dozen, multiple dozens of people who already would be probably more qualified than you at this current time to try to support and taking down the deal. Okay.
Yep.
So it's even when it comes to me, like when some wholesaler brings me a deal, I'm like, I know I'm not the first person to bring in this to.
Right.
Right. So I'm like, if it's coming to me, it's probably been reviewed over and over again to the point where I'm probably not going to be the best suited individual to take it down anymore. So unless
Yep.
something changes where like the numbers completely change or something like that. Right. So the reason why and what I want us to work on together is that I want you to be the one who controls the inventory.
Yep.
So I'm not saying it doesn't it's an and to have people send you deals. Like I probably get sent over 1,000 deals a year, but I want to be very clear. The amount of times that I've closed on a deal that I've been sent versus deals that we've generated internally is like 99% internal and 1% external.
It's starting to make sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just want to be very clear that the more you like obviously I love the goals and the vision of what you want to create of a national business like that. And if you rely on others to create the business, similar to even like when I've had some people say like, hey, I want to have a VA make calls for me. It's like, you want to rely on somebody you want to pay $3 an hour to make phone calls to very sophisticated multimillionaires who want to sell their commercial property. You want to rely on a $3 an hour person to make hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. It doesn't compute. That's why it's like in these instances, I would say, hey, whatever you can do to make the main priority, which we can talk about at length, but we want to focus on the activities that make you the focus of generating your own off-market book, right?
Okay. Yep.
And it's a plus when you get other stuff.
Yep. Yep.
Okay?
For sure. For sure.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then, which by the way, you could use, I don't care if it's Reonomy, right? Which is probably one of the better softwares. Okay.
Yep.
About $400 a month. You export 1,000 or so, 1,000. I think, I don't know if it's 2,000 these days or something like that. I think it's like I don't know, $400 or $500. They keep changing the prices. They're always changing. But anyways, you get 1,000 or so exports a month and you could target. And by the way, I would probably target your backyard and then
Yeah.
geographically go out versus starting somewhere random in the country.
Okay. Okay.
All right. I'd probably say let's take year one to like this year to build your
Mhm.
foundation of your local market, which I would just say Michigan,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And say, let's take this year to really get good at just the process. And then as things come your way and opportunities start growing, your experience starts growing, then you can start going outwards.
Yeah.
I would say let's start there and let this be a foundational year where like let's set you up for success for 5 or 10 years from now to be that powerful national broker, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Yep.
And then improving your skill sets in other commercial classes. So like you're obviously we talk about multifamily. That's your
Mhm.
main niche right now.
Yeah, I would say so. I just got a Burger King under contract in Ohio, which I have a
Nice.
buyer down in Florida that's looking for QSR locations all over the United States. So I've been diving a little bit more into that, which has been fun, but it's a whole different niche. It's a whole different, ball game. So yeah, I
So
think, watching you seem to be have a knowledge in all classes. To me, my focus has been on multifamily, but I'm open to learning more and learning different niches within the commercial space.
yeah, so what's happened for me is that actually I started in multifamily and I did a number and dozens of multifamily deals before I ever did anything else. Okay.
Sure. Yep.
Did a few lease deals here and there, but then I started getting introduced to new deals as those were presented to me, and then we would close on them, and I learned that process, and I would do
Yeah.
another one and another one and another one, and I just kind of started getting more experience across the board with different asset classes. So, like for someone like yourself, when it comes to prospecting, I
Yeah.
always just say prospect for a purpose, prospect for specific buyers that are looking for product, right?
Mhm.
So if hypothetically you have a bunch of multifamily guys, you should be prospecting for multifamily because the likelihood of you selling it when you generate it is high. Because
Right.
what happens is you go, hey, I want to start doing industrial, but you have no industrial buyers. You then have to go generate the opportunity, get the opportunity, then go back out and prospect for buyers to try to sell it and not know if you even can sell it. When you have a
Right.
big book of multifamily guys, right? Again, where I started, where I knew I had this one guy who I sold dozens of deals to, okay?
Mhm.
And he wanted one town. And I must have I sold the guy dozens of properties in one town. And I just called that entire town over and over and over and over and over again. I just kept selling. Every time there was a deal, I went to him because I just knew if I found something in this buy box, I could just bring it to this guy, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
and I just wanted like, hey, like instead of just prospecting for the terms of prospecting, I want to prospect for a purpose, prospect for a specific buyer on my list. I'm saying, hey, I'm calling for John. John wants multifamily in this town. He wants 5 to 20 units. He wants it at a 7 cap. I know that if I find that criteria in this town, 7 cap, not falling apart, John's going to buy it. Right.
Yep.
So that because again, we want to do things that have the highest likelihood of transacting versus things that are low level of transacting. Right. Like, so as an example, right now, if I called, or let's say let's say we're working together, right? And we
Yeah.
called, let's just say crappy office condos in the middle of XYZ area. The odds of us selling it are very low,
Yeah.
right? So it's
Yeah.
like, okay, we just want to reverse it. What would be the highest likelihood of us prospecting? Like, what would that be to transact at a high level? Like, what would give us the highest likelihood? What do you think that would be for you?
Multifamily.
Okay, great. In what area?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, I'd like to say Michigan, but God, I've been looking a ton. I mean, I feel like I look in Texas more than any other state,
But I'm
you
saying
know?
buyers wise, your buyers that are
Yeah,
active today, that are specific. Look, if it's Texas, that's fine. But
yeah.
all I want you to know is that, like, hey, like, if they say to you, hey, like, they're saying, what are they specifically saying to criteria wise? I'm very
Yeah,
curious.
so my New York guys, landlord friendly states, but as far as specifics, they got two guys that really want to either be in Dallas or Houston.
Do they
Um,
own a ton of stuff in that market already?
yeah, they have some offices there already, so they spend some time in Texas, they spend some time in New York. So the two big hitters of that group want bigger multifamily in Texas, specifically Dallas and Houston. So
So how many units is bigger?
I mean, we've looked at 400, 500, 700. You know, they
Yeah,
got upwards of $50 million to spend. So,
love it. So what I want it to be very clear, okay?
mm,
When you're dealing with the big boys and trying to
yeah,
sell large deals, okay,
yep,
they will review 1,000 deals for one acquisition.
sure,
When
yep,
you're dealing with smaller players, okay, your local guys in downtown Michigan, like wherever, right? I want to be very clear. Like they will look at something like 20 to 30 deals for one purchase. Keep in mind that, like, when you have these types of deals, it's also like getting these people on the phone is a lot more complicated.
yeah,
Like these multi-hundred unit deals that are going to actually transact, right?
yep,
So I believe in whale hunting, but it's not the full-time gig. Because
sure,
if you and I were just like hunter-gatherers and all we were trying to hunt for were whales, we would starve,
right,
right?
right,
So it's like that is one day a week of business. Every Friday or every Tuesday or whatever you choose. I don't care what it is. One day a week, you go whale hunting.
yeah,
Okay. And that's prospecting time for specifically larger product. And when you close one, go do 2 days a week. That's fine. But for
yeah,
you to spend 5 days a week whale hunting, you're going to starve.
sure, yeah,
Because
yeah.
I
No,
would
it
say,
makes
like,
sense. Yeah,
I like to say, let's focus on the burn and churn all day, every day type of product.
hmm,
And then one day, like that's 4 days a week. And then one day, I don't, by the way, that's resi for most people, like maybe yourself and many others, right?
yeah,
And or smaller multis to start. You do that 3 days a week. One day a week is for triple net deal QSRs, and one day a week is for your larger multi guys. Fine.
yeah,
But
yeah.
it's sticking to that till you close a deal.
And
And then
that's why
it
I'm
changes.
here. That's why I'm here. I want to get
Yeah.
it. I want to get a big deal closed, you know?
100%. Like, look, like I love the idea, right? But it's like I want you to
Mm,
realize that, like we just made we just wrote up an offer for $145 million, actually in a complex right near me here in Florida, and
nice.
it's like that type of sale, right? Like, first off, like even though it's a very nice price point, obviously the commission percentages we might make a quarter of or a half a percent on it, right?
Sure. Yep.
And which I'm obviously saying, like, clearly on the price point, it's still a lot of money.
Yeah.
But it's like
Yep.
you
Yep.
can you can burn and churn 50K commission checks monthly right now, and then maybe
Hmm.
one time a year you might get a nice sale like that. Right.
Sure. Yep.
So this
Yep.
is what I try to teach my sale guys when I'm like, listen, guys, like, look, I want you to focus on burn and churn product where you can do this monthly, where you're like, hey, you can do one or two or three closings a month on
Hmm.
stuff between 500K and 3 million, like all day long,
Right.
right?
Right.
And you could burn and churn, do 20, 30 transactions a year and make 50K at a clip. So it's
Yep.
like, let's just focus on that. And then, like, sure, every once in a blue moon, maybe once a year if you're lucky, and once every few years, more likely, you're going to sell a $100
Hmm.
million deal and you're going to get a
Hmm.
check for $1 million. But that's just
Hmm.
not, if you just focus on that, you're never going to make any money and you're going to be homeless,
No, it's
So
a good perspective. Yeah. I mean, the good thing too, obviously, I've been able to take some of these shots and these chances at the commercial side because my residential side is I'm good and I'm making an okay living enough to pay my bills and
Exactly what I did too. Same thing.
take these shots. But yeah, I mean the good thing, Henry, is I have different buyers I have a lot of buyers looking for those 30, 40, 50, 60 unit type multifamilies.
Correct.
So I'm always looking for the mid levels, and then I got my New York guys that are looking for the bigger stuff too. So it's just trying to get that mix of inventory coming in. But yeah, I mean, 100%. I'm completely, okay with, hitting those singles or doubles all day
I
long.
just want you to think about it. You're going to
Yeah.
hit, if you knew that every 5 years you're going to hit a grand slam and you have the ability to do a single every week, okay, a double once a quarter, right? A triple once a year, right?
Yeah.
It's like, and a home run every maybe 2 years, right? It's like, focus on the fucking singles for now.